Yeah, all right, we already know it. This movie should have been called Bad Boys for Life. Let's get that and any jokes about Will Smith assaulting people out of the way. This is a serious channel about serious movies. So, does Bad Boys Ride or Die slap or nah? What's up, my dude? Your friendly neighborhood Tony here, and as I do with all my movie reviews, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about Bad Boys Ride or Die, who made it, what it's about, all that good stuff. Then I'm going to go into the things I did and did not like about the movie, the pros and cons. And finally, I'll let you know who I think Bad Boys Ride or Die is for, if anyone. If that kind of thing sounds cool to you and you want to keep up to speed on all the new big movies coming out, make sure you subscribe. All right, in Bad Boys Ride or Die, when their former captain is implicated in corruption, 2 Miami police officers have to work to clear his name. Now, if you're not familiar with the Bad Boys franchise, this is a buddy cop comedy series. The first 2 in the franchise were directed by Michael Bay, and the last one and this one are directed by a Belgian-Moroccan directing duo named Adil and Bilall, I believe. Again, it's the 4th movie in the franchise, and it comes in at just under 2 hours. And this, as well as the prior 3, stars Will Smith and Martin Lawrence as the main characters. You also have Vanessa Hudgens in this one. Ioan Gruffudd, I think is how you pronounce his name. He was Mr. Fantastic in the early 2000s Fantastic Four movies. In addition to that, you have Tiffany Haddish and Joe Pantoliano and a bunch of other people that are just fun little cameos that pop up here and there. So, okay, before I give you my pros and cons about the movie, let me tell you kind of my expectations coming into it and just my history with the Bad Boys franchise. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, so take that for what it is. I am not a fan of the Bad Boys franchise. I've watched every single movie multiple times, and I love buddy cop comedy movies. One of my favorite franchises of all time is Rush Hour. So when I think about buddy cop movies, Rush Hour is definitely at the top of my list. You also have Lethal Weapon, or even the 21 and 22 Jump Street movies, or if you want to get a little more silly, Hot Fuzz. I think it's a great genre, and there's a lot of movies in that genre that I enjoy, but Bad Boys is not and has not ever been one of them. Now, with that said, the last Bad Boys movie, Bad Boys for Life, I think was, in my opinion, better than the first 2. So I had hope going into this movie that the directors from the last one would be kind of taking the franchise in a new direction, and that I would end up liking the movies as they go on more and more. So I went into this with an open mind, still understanding that I haven't loved any of the previous movies, but just hoping that this would be even better. But was it? Well, let's get into the pros. The first major pro that stands out about this movie is the action. It is absolutely insane. There are so many hand-to-hand combat scenes and chase sequences and gunfights and all kinds of crazy things that are happening on screen. And it's all so much fun and so exciting, and it's a real audience pleaser. You could just tell that they went all out, that they spared no expense in making some of these action sequences. It was completely insane. And in addition to that, there were some genuine laugh out loud funny moments throughout the movie. This one, I feel like more than any of the previous ones, leans even heavier into the kind of absurd slapstick humor. Martin Lawrence's character at the very beginning of the movie experiences something that kind of puts him on this different track. I don't want to spoil it in any way, but it kind of changes the way his character sees the world around him. And it just becomes so completely insane and ridiculous. And they lean into that so hard with this movie. And I really got a lot of laughs out of it. Some of the things I will say that I laughed at, I don't know if they intended for it to be funny, but it definitely was. They also got super creative with a lot of the visuals in the movie. I feel like the directors were just getting really experimental. They were trying different shots with the camera. They were using a lot of CG in very unique ways. Like there were some cool POV shots and drone shots, and then also just some kind of abstract and unusual scenes that they shot. And I dig that. I like when filmmakers, when creators are kind of stepping out of their comfort zone and just getting a little weird with it. And they definitely did that here. And now, if you are a fan of the franchise, if you've watched some of the other or all of the other Bad Boys movies and you enjoy the characters that are in them, I think that's another thing that they did really well with this one, is that you get so much for so many of the different characters in the movie. Some that maybe had been sitting on the sidelines in some of the previous movies, some of the secondary or tertiary characters, they get to kind of have their big moments in this one. And again, I'm kind of dancing around it so I don't spoil anything, but there is one particular scene in this movie about a character who's kind of been on the sidelines from the previous movies, and they get to shine so much here, and the entire audience went absolutely nuts. It's one of the standout scenes in the movie. And if you see it, you'll know exactly which one I'm talking about. But yeah, they do a great job of kind of giving you that fan service all throughout the movie. And I think that if you're a fan of the series, you're absolutely going to love that. I'll also say that I saw this at an early screening. It was with a bunch of critics, obviously, but also a bunch of fans in the audience. And the fans were losing their mind at different scenes. Like, they were cracking up, laughing. They were cheering for different things that were happening in the movie. You could just tell that this is one of those movies that if you're a fan, or maybe even if you're not a fan, but if you just enjoy this style of movie, that you're going to get a lot out of it. And it's probably going to be a lot of fun to watch with a big group of people. Now, all that being said, I did definitely have a few issues with the movie. So let's go ahead and get into that with the cons. But before we do, I want to let you know that this video is sponsored by you. That's right. I'm just a small independent channel here without any big corporate sponsors or anything like that. So just by watching the video, you're really helping me out. If you want to be super dope and show your support in the easiest possible way, do me a solid and like the video and drop a comment down below. Let me know, what do you think about the Bad Boys franchise overall? Where does it rank in kind of your list of favorite buddy cop movies? Like I said, for me, it's not particularly high on the list, but if it's one of your favorites, let me know. You can also now join as a channel member if you want to help support me financially, or just subscribe for free if you want to keep up to speed on all the new big movies coming out. So either way, I appreciate it. All right, on to the cons. So the first thing that I'm going to say is a con for me is maybe not necessarily a con for everyone, and that is that this movie feels like a music video. It's super bright and loud and just kind of chaotic and all over the place. And like I mentioned before, there's all these cameos, some of which felt completely unnecessary. It also almost feels like they're trying to turn this into the Fast and the Furious, which, I mean, I guess I can't really blame them for. It is a multi-billion-dollar franchise, but it feels like they're taking a lot of inspiration from those movies. And with that, not unlike some of the more recent Fast and Furious movies, the writing here is pretty weak, and especially when it comes to some of the dialogue. I mean, it definitely had me rolling my eyes at a number of different scenes throughout the movie. And I mean, a lot of the cast are very talented actors and actresses, and you can tell they're doing kind of the best they can with what they've been given. But unfortunately for them, when it comes to the script, they were not given much to work with. Also, as far as the writing is concerned, there's all kinds of random left turns that they take throughout the movie, different scenes that felt like they were just tacked on for no real reason, or maybe for a reason that doesn't jive with the actual structure of the story. There were things that just didn't make sense, things that felt completely unnecessary. It was just kind of a mess as far as writing is concerned. And I know that they had some serious reshoots that they had to do. I know that there were things that were added later on after the production cycle was done. And I feel like you can almost pick those out as you're watching the movie, because there are just scenes that don't fit. It really feels like there are scenes and entire characters that were just thrown into the movie to kind of maybe get a reaction from the audience, to have them be like, oh my goodness, can you believe that happened? But it just doesn't. It makes the story, it makes the movie worse. As much as I hate to say it, it really is a mess of a movie structurally. And it feels like a lot of producers probably had their fingers in it, trying to tweak things and change things when they didn't really have much to go off to begin with. Like, I don't know how many more of these movies we're going to get, or how many we should get. I would never want to tell someone that they shouldn't make a movie, but it just feels like the story is done, and I know they're going to try to stretch it out, and they're going to try to expand on different characters going forward, but it really feels like it's done, and it's been done for a while. Okay, so who do I think Bad Boys Ride or Die is for? And this is tough, because I wrote this part of like kind of my bullet points, my notes, several times, and I changed it and erased it and wrote something different. I was going to be super nice about it, then I was going to be super mean about it. But the simple truth is this: if you are a fan of the Bad Boys franchise, then you're going to love this movie. There's so much fan service in it. And if you've enjoyed the prior movies, then I don't think you're looking for something that is written exceptionally well, or that has, unique story points or contemplative things. You're looking for Martin Lawrence and Will Smith riding around Miami, blowing things up, and girls in bikinis, and all the Michael Bay-isms that you got from the first two movies. That's what you're probably looking for here. And in that respect, you get it. It's in this movie. It is there for you. But if you're not already a big fan of the Bad Boys movies, or if that kind of, level of entertainment is not enough to justify you spending your money to go out to the movie theaters to see this, then you might not want to go out to the theaters to see this, because it is exactly what you think it is and nothing more. And look, I appreciate big dumb action movies from time to time, but I want them to be well formulated. I want them to be put together well. And this just was not. So again, if you're a big fan of the Bad Boys movies, sure, you're probably gonna like this one too. But if you're not already, or if you want more from your movies, this ain't it. But of course, this is all just my own personal opinion from watching the movie. If Bad Boys Ride or Die sounds interesting to you, you can check it out in theaters right now. If you've seen it already, let me know what you think in the comments below. And of course, if you want to keep up to speed on all the new big movies coming out, make sure you subscribe. All right, my dude, I'll catch you in the next one. Be good.